Tonight you will lie down in a dark, quiet room, on a mattress engineered for comfort, and you will stare at the ceiling for an hour wondering why you cannot sleep. Your bed is perfect. The temperature is right. There is nothing chasing you. And yet your brain refuses to shut off. But here is what nobody tells you. The way you sleep right now, or fail to sleep, is one of the strangest things a human being has ever done. It is a modern invention, and your body knows it. For most of human history, sleep looked nothing like what you do tonight. Go back 8 hours. Most people today treat sleep as a single block. You go down, you come up, you call it a night. One long stretch. You probably learned this from your parents, who learned it from theirs. It feels natural. It feels like the only way a body is supposed to work. It is not. In 2001, a historian named Roger E. Kirch published a landmark study in the American Historical Review. He had spent 16 years collecting references to sleep from diaries, court records, medical texts, and literature going back 5 centuries across Europe. What he found changed everything researchers thought they knew about human rest. People did not sleep in one long block. They slept in two. The first sleep began shortly after dark and lasted roughly 4 hours. Then people woke. Naturally. Without alarm, without panic, without the creeping dread you feel when you open your eyes at 3 a.m. They were simply awake. And they used that time to pray, to reflect, to talk with whoever was beside them, to have sex, to check on their animals, to write down dreams while they were still vivid. Then they went back to sleep. The second sleep carried them through to dawn. Kirch called this segmented sleep, and once he named it, the evidence was everywhere. Chaucer wrote about it. Shakespeare wrote about it. A 17th century French physician named Laurent Joubert described the hours between first and second sleep as the ideal time for conception because both partners were rested and alert. Medieval monks structured their prayer schedule around it. The waking interval between the two sleeps even had a name in Old English: the watch. Your great-great-great-grandparents did not have a word for insomnia. They did not need one. So, what happened? The answer arrived with light. Before artificial lighting, darkness was a physical force. When the sun went down, your world contracted to whatever a candle or a fire could touch. You could not extend the day. You worked until dark, and then the dark worked on you. Your body responded to the fall of light the way it was built to respond, by releasing melatonin, dropping core temperature, pulling you towards sleep. Then, in the 1800s, gas lamps arrived in cities. Then electric light arrived everywhere. Suddenly the day had no end. You could stay up later. You could work later. You could socialize, read, produce, consume. The night was no longer a wall. Employers noticed. Factory owners, office managers, industrialists. They needed workers present at fixed hours. Sleep became a block to schedule around, not a rhythm to flow with. The 8-hour sleep was not discovered. It was assigned. By the early 20th century, doctors had largely forgotten that humans ever slept differently, and so had everyone else. But your body did not forget. A psychiatrist named Thomas Wehr at the National Institute of Mental Health ran a quiet experiment in the 1990s that no one talks about enough. He took a group of healthy adults and removed artificial light from their evenings. He gave them 14 hours of darkness every night for a month, roughly what a winter night would have looked like for your ancestors thousands of years ago. Within weeks, every single participant shifted into the same pattern. They fell asleep shortly after dark. They woke after about 4 hours. They lay awake in a calm, reflective state for 1 to 2 hours, their brains showing activity that Wehr described as similar to meditation. And then they fell back asleep until dawn. They had returned without any instruction to the sleep their bodies had always expected. Wehr also measured their prolactin levels during that waking interval. Prolactin is the hormone associated with calm, with quiet satisfaction, with the feeling of lying peacefully in the dark without needing to be anywhere. Their levels were elevated, markedly. They were not anxious. They were not lying there catastrophizing about tomorrow. They were simply awake and it felt right. This is the thing that should stop you cold. When you wake at 3 a.m. today, when your eyes open and your mind immediately starts running, your body is not broken. Your body is doing exactly what it was built to do. It is trying to give you your watch. The horror you feel in that moment, the sense that something is wrong, that you are failing at sleep, that the day ahead is already ruined, that is not a symptom of your body malfunctioning. That is a symptom of your body functioning in a world it was not designed for. Think about what your ancestors did during that waking interval. They did not reach for a phone. There were no phones. There was no glowing rectangle screaming information into their eyes at 3 a.m. There was darkness and quiet and the warmth of whoever was sleeping beside them. There was, if they were lucky, a candle and a journal. There was prayer or thought, or the slow drift back into a dream. You have that same waking interval. You just fill it with catastrophe. The light from your phone screen at that hour delivers a signal straight to your suprachiasmatic nucleus, the cluster of cells in your brain that governs your internal clock. That signal says it is daytime. Stop producing melatonin. Wake up completely. Your ancient body obeys. And then you lie there at 4 a.m., wondering why you feel worse than when you closed your eyes. Sleep researchers Matthew Walker at the University of California, Berkeley, and Russell Foster at Oxford have both documented the cascade of damage that follows chronic sleep disruption. Walker's research connects poor sleep to elevated cortisol, impaired memory consolidation, weakened immune response, increased risk of depression, and faster cognitive decline. Foster's work on circadian biology shows that the misalignment between your internal clock and your artificial day is not a minor inconvenience. It is a physiological stress your body registers the same way it would register a wound. You are not tired because you are lazy. You are tired because you have been fighting your own biology for years. And here is where it gets stranger. Across dozens of pre-industrial societies studied by anthropologist Jerome Siegel, the Hadza in Tanzania, the San people of the Kalahari, indigenous groups in Bolivia, the pattern holds. These populations do not sleep 8 hours straight. They do not go to bed at the same time every night. They follow temperature. They follow light. In winter, they sleep longer. In summer, they sleep less. They wake in the night, sometimes briefly, sometimes longer. They do not panic about it. Siegel published his findings in Current Biology in 2015. The average total sleep time he measured was just under 6.5 hours, far less than the 8 hours modern health guidelines insist on. But those hours were aligned with natural light and temperature cycles in a way that made them deeply restorative. The quality was different. The architecture of the sleep was different. It was not just the duration that mattered, it was the relationship between sleep and the world around it. Your body is still calibrated to that relationship. It is still listening for the temperature drop at night. It is still waiting for darkness that actually means darkness. It is still expecting a waking interval somewhere in the middle, a quiet space between two sleeps where something important happens. Something we still do not fully understand, but that Wehr's prolactin data suggests was restorative in a way that continuous sleep is not. You have a body built for a world of firelight and stars and silence at midnight, and you are asking it to perform in a world of blue light and schedules and a phone that buzzes at 2 a.m. The mismatch is not a character flaw. It is a collision between biology and modernity that nobody warned you about. So tonight, when you lie down, try something different. When your eyes open in the middle of the night, do not reach for the phone. Do not turn on the light. Do not start calculating how many hours you have left. Just lie there. Be in the dark. Let your brain do whatever it was doing before the modern world told it to stop. You might find that 3 a.m. is not the enemy you thought it was. You might find that your body was never broken at all. You were just sleeping in the wrong century.